Hello everyone and welcome to our weather update on Thursday, August 13th, 2026. So, today is the peak of the heat wave across many areas of UK and Ireland. Some really high temperatures out there, up to the high 30s in parts of central, southern and eastern England in these, completely widely blue skies, this expanse of, clear skies all the way from England down towards parts of France, out towards Germany, Denmark, off into Central Europe there. High pressure, the heat dome is still there under it and starting to be drawn up from the southeast. So really, really hot. And same goes for France, Spain, Portugal, of course. And some thundery downpours are being sparked off by the heat in Spain, parts of France, into Italy, Switzerland, those areas, and the Med. Meanwhile, for areas further west and north, there is some more cloud today, and some showers in parts of northern England, Scotland, parts of Ireland. Across the far north of Scotland, there is some heavier rainfall, more prolonged rainfall, and some lightning just recently off the coast of Mayo. This is a cold front that will gradually move through Ireland and the UK through tonight and tomorrow, clearing southeast England on Saturday morning. A bit of, some patchy rain showers and maybe thunderstorms on the cold front. Amounts, varying widely, but most areas staying dry. Again, wettest in the west and northwest, where it is currently raining already. Now, before we move on, I want to also rewind a bit to yesterday's solar eclipse. So we had a deep partial solar eclipse for many areas of Ireland, the UK, Western Europe. And then we had a path of totality that started up here in the far north of Russia, went across the Arctic and near the North Pole, came down near Greenland, Western Iceland, down just not that far off our own southwest coast in Ireland, and then down into parts of northern Spain, the very northeastern corner there of Portugal, and out off into parts of northeast Spain, into the western Med. And interestingly, on the satellite image, you can see the shadow of the moon, the umbra and the penumbra, I believe, descending through the evening from the north. So that's 5:40 p.m. But if we roll on to 6:44 p.m, you notice how this whole area of the map has dimmed quite dramatically. It starts up here near Greenland area, then slowly you see dimming takes place near Iceland, Ireland, UK, Greenland. I think the total eclipse the umbra currently at about say 7 p.m. yesterday was around here, and then it would descend into parts of Iberia. But yeah, interestingly enough, and then behind that, by 8 p.m, brightening up again from northwest as the eclipse moves down into southern parts of Europe. So yeah, that, eclipse was caught on satellite imagery, and a very memorable thing for me. It got really eerie around and just after 7 p.m. It's sort of alien, otherworldly light that I will never see in any other case, in any other scenario. It wasn't cloudy, it wasn't sunset, it wasn't twilight. It was the light that can only be seen during a solar eclipse, and it was really quite amazing. I guess it can be compared to seeing the world through shades and sunglasses, even though you aren't wearing them, and almost like you've got the desk light on, but on the lower setting, and on a very warm, orangey, hazy light. Yeah, a really memorable, striking scene yesterday evening. Okay, so moving on to the UKV, you can see again, we got this heavy thundery rain across parts of the northwest. Otherwise, it's dry, fine, hot and sunny. Through the evening, again, notice, got a band of cloud and some showers along it, gradually moving from east to west. Some showers firing up overnight across parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Ireland as well, up into parts of Scotland there. Some thunder possible on those as well. Some very bright echoes there across Northern Ireland and parts of Western Scotland. Further east and south, it stays dry. Into Friday morning, again, those storms track eastwards across Scotland, parts of central Scotland, possibly also reaching the far north of England near Carlisle. And then, the UKV is showing some more thunderstorms kicking off near the Irish east coast, and then pushing eastwards through the day, maybe into parts of northern England. I mean, this cold front is very patchy, but I think that if the energy along it is released, it does have the potential to form some big thunderstorms. It's just about where we actually do release that energy, where the cap breaks, if you will. Then tomorrow evening and overnight, the UKV shows very little here, but across eastern England and maybe parts of the North Midlands and East Anglia, there could be quite a big thundery outbreak. Some models like the ECMWF actually show this whole core, this whole area of very intense rainfall rates across this general area here. So there's something there, but the other models are definitely hyping up a bit more. They're definitely triggering more storms in that region. So that's another area of interest there. Behind it, it goes much fresher through Friday night, and the few showers start filing towards Scotland. And then through Saturday morning, the last of the thundery downpours, if they form, clear the east. And through Saturday, we'll see most, if not all areas, return to a much fresher feel, but still very warm across southern England, despite that. And cloudiest for further west and north, and some showers, again feeding into parts of northern Scotland. Right into Sunday, northern areas start seeing the effects of a more westerly airflow, so therefore it's cloudier, some patchy rain here and there. In the south, it's much drier and brighter and rather warm. And into Monday, a system starts to push into Scotland, so some heavy rain piling in there, some bright echoes there. Of course, Ireland is quite cloudy, some patchy rain on the west coast, brightest in the southeast. England and Wales, mostly dry and sunny and quite warm. As we head into Tuesday, most models are now bringing in some sort of feature, some sort of cold front southwards across Ireland, England and Wales. But of course, there is a lot of uncertainty about how intense it is and how much rain actually gets through with it. Because we've seen time and time again this summer, models in the 5-day time frame or more, they start trying to introduce something wetter, something more westerly. Has it ever come off? No, not in the south anyway. In the north, it's been quite miserable at times, but it's all none of it made it south of northern England practically, which is quite the high pressure has always been there or thereabouts in the south, and that just meant that the rain bands died their deaths as they pushed into the Midlands, fizzling out into nothing more than a band of cloud and patchy drizzle. So here's the UKV high-res chart. You can see today really high temperatures up into the high 30s in parts of the Midlands. Mid-30s, even up to northeast England, all very hot. Ireland, low 20s in the west and northwest, but come inland, come down towards Midlands, south and east, high 20s in some areas. I think some areas will get to 30 degrees today. Scotland in the west, much cooler, but still very warm in eastern Scotland, northern England. And if you put on dew points, you can see that the area is quite dry across central and eastern England, but further west, where it's not as hot, it's still very warm. And dew points are much higher in the high teens, some areas reaching low 20s, so it will be feeling quite sticky across more western areas in temperatures in the mid or high 20s Celsius. So, but still, nonetheless, even in the east where it is less humid, these values, 35, 34, 36, they're still really, really hot and dangerous values. As we go through, and especially since there's barely any AC available. As we go through tonight, it will be a very warm night. Temperatures only slowly falling away. So by about 5 a.m, it's about tomorrow about 5 or 6 a.m. Eastern Ireland, southern central Scotland, all of England and Wales, still looking at 15 to 20 degrees minimum. And as you go further west of that, across Western Ireland and parts of Scotland there, much cooler behind the cold fronts. But it will be quite a gradual process. So Friday, despite having peaked on Thursday, temperatures gradually coming down the other side of the peak, still very hot across central, southern and eastern England, low 30s there, widely across parts of Southern Ireland, Wales, Northern England, East Scotland, above 20 degrees up to the mid-20s Celsius there. Only areas a bit cooler will be again Western Scotland, Northern Ireland. Tomorrow night though, we will hopefully start to see the fresher temperatures just inching further eastwards again. So Ireland, Scotland, Northern England, Wales, much cooler and fresher, still holding on to some very muggy air across the southeast of England there, marked by the change in dew points. So Midlands, 10 or 11 degrees dew point, but London, home county is Kent, East Anglia, still in the high teens. So very muggy in the southeast corner tomorrow night. Into Saturday, well, still just hanging on to some heat across the south coast. So 30 or 31 degrees there. But widely across England and Wales, more like mid-20s Celsius. Ireland's mid-teens in the north, up to the low 20s in the south. Much more sensible, and much fresher as well for parts of Scotland and Northern England. Saturday night, well, again, just holding on to something a bit less fresh across parts of southeast England there, very close to the continent and the dome of hot air. Otherwise, much fresher. Into Sunday, once again, temperatures pretty comfortable. Look at that. Mid-teens across Scotland, but up into the 20 Celsius across Ireland, England and Wales. Again, hottest on the south coast, where we might see some high 20s poking out there. Sunday night into Monday, a bit less fresh than it will be on Saturday night. And Monday itself, well, temperatures starting to rise back again because a warm front will move through Scotland and some warmer air will follow behind it. So many areas of Ireland, Wales and England will be into the low 20s, if not mid to high 20 Celsius there. And by Tuesday morning, we're back to something much milder and warmer and more humid within a warm sector before the cold front clears through. Corresponding with this chart showing the cold front through northern England, parts of Ireland, and some just generally milder air, quite humid air. But this time, rather than being a heat wave, it will be based from the Atlantic there. So bit of a difference. So the temperature potential won't be quite as high with next week's weather. So here is the GFS 6-site run. I'm using this site today because the old site, the normal site, it's very patchy today, really patchy, often lagging. So it's just better to have a smooth flow. Right, so again, here we are with this very hot wind, this very hot air mass drifting up from the southeast, courtesy of this area of high pressure towards our east. Also a thundery low over France, Spain and the Med. Between that, up comes a boiling hot, a scorching hot southeasterly wind. However, low pressure is over Iceland and it's trying to push a cold front through, but struggling, but it will reach even eastern England by Saturday night. And high pressure towards the southwest will help push in a cooler, fresher northwesterly airflow. Right, so through tomorrow, that is what we see. Gradually, winds veer around to a more northwesterly to northerly direction. But overall, through the weekend, high pressure is ridging up from the Azores, so even though it's centered over the Azores, its influence is extending towards us, so therefore it's fine, dry and warm. And then through Monday, look at that, low pressure is deepening towards Iceland and Greenland, high pressure to the south. Now, yeah, so the GFS brings the low between Iceland and Ireland by Tuesday evening, and that will bring a band of rain southeastwards over Ireland and the UK. Again, amounts in the south, probably smaller. And then we go into quite a showery and cooler week in general next week as the low pressure moves through Scotland and clears towards the North Sea. And behind that, well, a northerly wind starts to dig in. So that looks really chilly and showery by next Thursday. I'm a bit skeptical. Given how the summer has played out so far. But at some point, the pattern has to break. It can't be forever. So will this be the break? It could be. ECM, let's see how that compares. So again, high pressure is bridging into the country through the weekend. Next week, so low pressure comes through between Iceland and Scotland. That brings, again, rain across most areas of the country, if not all areas. In the south, you might still miss it. But I think that's the most westerly chart I've seen for a long while now, next Tuesday, Wednesday, and behind that, well, low pressure towards Scotland by Thursday. But I think that by Friday will exit towards North Sea. Yes, it does. And actually, it forms another trough along a trailing front. And that will bring, I don't want to say copious, but that will bring a good amount of rainfall to the south. And copious in comparison to what we have seen over the last 2 months. And that has been like nothing, basically. So, a big upgrade there. But will it verify? It's still, that's like next Friday, 8 days away. Plenty of room for change. And we end up like that next Sunday, northerly winds and showery with low pressure in control. High pressure to the west. There you go. So here's the UK Met Run. Again, let's see what it does here. So again, low pressure starts towards Newfoundland on Saturday. It rides over the area of high pressure. And by Tuesday, the low is near Iceland and trying to push a front through. I think that the UK Met Run is a bit further north with the high pressure and low pressure than the other runs. So by Thursday, the low is still up near Faroe Islands. So if anything, I think that the UK Met Run would produce less rain in the south than the GFS and ECM, if any at all. Actually, the GEM, I'm just noticing now, hasn't updated for a long time, since the 26th of May. So we'll move past that. So here's the icon. Once again, low pressure is going to move from Iceland out towards Norway, and that will push a cold front through Ireland and the UK, bringing some relief from the heat. Some patchy, scattered rains and storms along some scattered and patchy rain and storms along that cold front. Before and after that, we see just falling all over the place, sorry. After that, we see high pressure over the Azores ridging into Ireland and the UK, bringing a fine weekend and temperatures falling back to a more pleasant and sensible level. Right, so beyond that, we do see this area of low pressure starting to try and move in from the west. And Icon also has it a bit further north. So rain with that mainly in the north and northeast. Some getting into more central regions, but in the south and southwest especially, closest to this area of high pressure and under quite a high pressure itself, about 1,020 millibars, we will see things there remain probably bone dry. And by next Wednesday and Thursday, we have that low exiting towards Scandinavia, and we're left in a showery feed from northwest. Again, the showers probably mostly across northern areas and parts of the east and Midlands. Some getting into the south, but not all that many, courtesy of this little ridge that sticks out into the Celtic Sea and near Ireland and Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon. Right, so that's our forecast today. Very interesting one. Of course, keeping an eye on the track of that low pressure next week, which is going to be the factor in whether the south sees nothing at all or something. And the closer it is, obviously, the more likely it is that the south will see that band of rain that I mentioned, like cold fronts, and behind it some showers will form, some hit and miss showers. A ray of hope won't fix everything. Even if it does fall, it will not solve every single problem that we have accumulated through the summer. We've had a lot of problems, a lot of prolonged, extended dry weather, so we need a lot of rain, copious amounts of rain that falls in not a torrential fashion. So prolonged, persistent, fine rain that will soak into the ground. If we see a downpour, a lot of rain falls, but it will run off and basically back to square one. Everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you. Bye for now.